Alright, so there's Charlie there. Charlie boy, that's a good dog. You're a good dog. So I saw a great post. Like I like to about the divisiveness of dog trainers and going off. And there was actually a couple of them. And one of them was a guy that used to be positive only force free, and one was a guy that never was. But the guy that used to be positive only, he was talking about how all the methods work, which I try to say too. Now, and it depends on the dog, right? And it depends on the person. And we should be trying. I mean, the ideal, right? Ideally, every dog we come across, we can positive only train it, and it works out. The realistically though, is some dogs it's not going to work for, and probably more often than not, it's the people that it's not going to work for, right? Because you have to do a lot of reps, and oftentimes people are like, when do we get away from rewards? So it's easy to get people, I shouldn't say easy. It's easy to have people, it's easier, that's what I should say. It's easier to have people have food in their hand for 2 weeks and then go to random, right? And then you go to random rewarding. People don't mind that so much, but that's always one of the first questions. I shouldn't say always either. A lot of times it's one of the first questions, when do we get away from rewarding? And then the short answer is you never want to get away from rewarding, right? But the bigger answer is you can get away from food, but you're going to have to, not every time, you get away from rewarding stuff every time, right? You get to get multiple stuff for one food reward or one affection reward, right? So we get into that. And there are people that have been, and here's the thing, there are people that have been training dogs for a long ass time, good, happy dogs, and never use a piece of food. We just like food, right? But instead, these people are trying to say it's science, and it's not like, for instance, there was a comment of a screenshot of someone asking Zach George if he was ever going to talk to Ivan Balbanov or Robert Cabral, and he was like, yeah, probably not, because I'm a science guy and they're not, and they're anti-science. There's this thing about calling people anti-science because they have a different methodology than you. And here's the thing, the people that are saying that they're science people, like Zach George, he's not a science guy. Because if he was a science guy, you know what real science does? Real science talks to differing opinions. Real science says, okay, this is what I think, this is what my study shows. Oh, you think something different? Hey, let's talk it out and let's get some proof. Let's see what's going on, right? And even if you don't want to talk to the other side, even if you don't want to talk to the other side, right? You know what there is? There's video evidence of dogs living wonderful, happy lives on an e-collar. Dogs living wonderful, happy lives with their owners on an e-collar and a prong collar. Right? And then people like Zach George, the PPFF side. So when I say about the PPFF side, I'm talking about the ones that are saying, you should never use these tools. These tools should never be used, right? They're trying to run your life and run your dog. They don't know your dog. They don't know your life, right? But then they call themselves scientists. That's not science, dude. Science takes, okay, these people came up with this study, right? These people say this, and we have this evidence, right? Like, that's another thing he always says, Zach George, outdated training practices. Why are they outdated? How is anything that is effective in training a dog and keeping a dog in a home, how is that outdated? Right? It should be, that's the classical way, right? We should be saying it's the classical or traditional way of training, right? And to say dogs don't understand punishment and corrections and pressure that's anti-science, right? Because that's their natural form of communication, right? I feel like we should be trying to avoid it as much as we can, right? But there are times where taking that time, spending that time, too much time before correcting or before using pressure keeps the dog in a bad headspace, and that's nowhere near. And that's one of my anti-PPFF guys. He said sometimes not correcting is more inhumane than correcting, because the correction, like a leash correction, is not even 1 second, right? Where that dog will stay in that bad headspace. It's an anxious headspace where the dog's going, where you can use a correction and the dog goes, oh wait, what am I supposed to be doing? Now you can tell the dog what to do. I feel like it depends on where that dog is, right? In the headspace. So, anyways, teach what we want, prevent, manage, and correct what we don't, as in, like I had somebody call yesterday and, oh no, it was one of my neighbors. She was asking for her boss, 6-month-old puppy pottying all over the place. I'm like, well, is it in a crate? No. Do they put it outside? No. Well, they got to get it on the schedule and they got to supervise. It's a puppy. It doesn't know. It's going to go. If you're sitting on the couch and the puppy's got to pee, it's not going to say, hey, dude, I got to go pee, until you teach him. He's just going to go behind the couch and pee, because that's not where he lays down. And that's not where you can see, right? So you got to watch the puppy all the time. If you can't watch it, it's be in the crate or outside. You know what I mean? You're busy, you got to work, put the dog outside. Let him be by himself. Put the dog in the crate. He won't pee. He'll take a nap. I kind of went off on a tangent there. But, excuse you, pig. Anyways, the divisiveness was started by the people that call themselves scientists, and they're not even scientific about their approach. To deny evidence is anti-science. And what else? That's the key point. And the other point is, he calls himself evidence-based because they get some studies. Oh, that was a big point I wanted to make. And it's only certain ones, right? When I talk about that side of the aisle, I'm talking about the ones that are trying to control what you're doing, not the ones that do it. There are plenty of people out there that are like, yeah, I just don't want to do that. And when they get to a certain point with the dog and stuff's still bad, they'll be like, hey, maybe I can't help you anymore. Because that's what happens. You try to teach people with your level of knowledge, and then there might be a dog that's way above your level of knowledge, and you could be doing this for 20 years. Not that I've been doing it for 20 years, but whatever, you get the picture. We're out of here.